Guys, we're going live.
So,
Alright, let me just give people
go on, quick.
come in.
So,
Yep. All right. For some time to come into live. We are now live. So, guys, in the meantime, while we await people, I think we could take the opportunity to introduce ourselves. All right, we're just waiting for people to come on live. I think we have 6 viewers already. Just waiting on people to come on the live. Watching A Few Good Men. This is our first live. And we're going to have the conversation regarding being placed in friends. People the opportunity to come in. Just want to give people the opportunity to come in live.
the stream name.
Guys, feel free to come any comments you like in the comment section. This is A Few Good Men. You're just joining in, and we are doing our first live actually on a program that is meant to be a platform where men can discuss the type of issues that affect us uniquely, whether it regard relationship, or social environment, or religion, and everything in between. All right, I see one person here. Good night, Crafty. What's going on, Crafty? I appreciate you being on the live, bro. Appreciate it. All right, guys, feel free to put your comments. Feel free to share the live with your friends. Invite people to come on because it's going to be an interesting conversation we're going to be having here.
Hey, go ahead.
All right, Sam.
What's up?
Sam, I see you. our good friend Sheena is on the live. Sheena, good night. I appreciate you coming on the live. All right, we're just giving people a few more minutes. A reminder, just feel free, as I said, to just put your comments, share your thoughts. This is a conversation with friends, and everybody has suffered from the friend zone. But Sam, but before we even start, you put up a status there, and you made me wonder. All right, with Sam will be coming back shortly. Hello to everyone joining the live. We appreciate you taking the time out to You Good Men. This is our first live, and it's one of many where we will be discussing the issues that affect us uniquely as men. I think the only male platform in social media platform And it's really get to us having those difficult, those tough conversations that men would rather have at the barber shop or maybe at the warm shop. But we're actually taking these conversations and bringing it to social media. Willem, you could say hi to I'm sure you probably have friends coming up.
Hi, good night. Good. A pleasant good night to everyone. It's a pleasure being here with you guys tonight. And of course, we're here. There's a few good men. We just want to throw this topic out and see how best we could could discuss the friend zone, the friend zoning of men in society. Bear in mind, of course, we would keep this as nice and as entertaining as possible. So I'm here to shed light on my friend's own experiences
Guys,
as we go.
I'm seeing in the comments that they're not hearing. Please indicate where's the other good man. So Aruna is on. Sam, I'm guessing she's referring. So Sam, Sam, please indicate if the audio is okay. It's our first live actually. And I promise you, as we move on, we will get it correct. We'll improve. Sam, Aruna, are you seeing the comments? Sam? Aruna is saying there's an echo.
Aruna is saying what?
There's an echo. So maybe you should use your headphones, Sam.
Yeah, I think I'll do that too.
Yep, I think we need to do that. Yeah, definitely.
Where are my headphones?
Give me a sec. Let me get mine.
Yeah. All right, guys. I really appreciate y'all coming on. Just indicate in the chat if you're all hearing me. Okay, so I'm hearing in the audio.
Let me try. I'm trying to get a headphone from upstairs.
Yeah. All right. Yep. It is clicked. Aruna, Neptune. Yes, it is clicked. So are you still getting an echo? Right. So guys, yeah. So the headphone is definitely making the difference. So we do apologize for that. We do apologize for that. We would get that. Thank you, Aruna, for giving that feedback. We greatly appreciate it. All right, so guys, thank you for joining the live again. You're viewing A Few Good Men. This is a platform that's, has been in the making for many, many years. I've been in journalism for about close to around 15 years, and I felt that there needed to be a platform for men where we could share our views, except because a lot of the time we share our views in the barber shops and in the rum shop, but we don't really make it and nationalize our conversation. So this platform is definitely geared towards nationalizing our conversation. So Willem, one of our all right, I've seen some people logging on. We appreciate. Very interesting conversation. We are discussing the friend zone. I know ladies will be interested in that one. All right, Willem.
Yeah.
You're back on. Yep. Right. So tell me, in the comment section, could you hear Willem? Please indicate. It'll be very helpful that that's wonderful. All right. So Willem, yeah, you good. So it's just Sam. Yep. All right. So Willem, while say Sam says he's going upstairs for his headphones. But don't worry, guys, we'll get it right.
Sam stop to eat a piece of bread day, boy.
Oh. Guys, we appreciate and like I said, as the conversation goes along, feel free to leave your comments, your questions in the comment section, because this is going to be an interesting conversation, and it's one of many that we'll be having on a Friday. And this is just really a build up to the premiere of our show. This is not actually the show. This is just us having backstage conversations as we prepare for A Few Good Men. COVID-19 has really impacted us because we intended on having a live stage, a studio where it's going to be set up properly. We're going to have a production team, but COVID, hampered a lot of that. So while we wait for the COVID situation to settle down, we will be doing these types of discussions, just light topics, light topics, just to get the ball rolling, because it's been close to a year in planning and a couple months in actually executing and getting this show on the road. All right, so Sam is back up. Sam, all right, please indicate that you could hear Sam. Sam, you could say something so that we sure that people could hear the conversation.
Yes, I am here.
All right. All right, guys, I apologize for that. We will get that corrected as we move forward. This is our first live. So Sam, everyone's good with Sam. Just please indicate in the chat so we could start the conversation. Sam, boy, like you bring your whole posse here to see you, boy. Well, appreciate that.
We have to support each other now.
We have to support each other. All right. Wonderful. Appreciate Sheena. We appreciate you being on the live. Guys, apologies again, but now let's get the ball rolling. Let's get started. Can't wait to get this conversation on the ball. All right. So first off, I know, Sam, you don't need no introduction, but I just would like to just take the opportunity again. Just introduce yourself. Willem, just introduce yourself, and then we can start the conversation. So anyone?
Well, I'm Sam, as I am affectionately known as. I'm just a fun-loving person who likes pondering on many things in life, and that's why I find myself interested in such a show, because we just get to speak about anything that crosses our minds on a daily basis, and it's nice to have other people to discuss it with, and it's going to be fun. So I think I'm going to enjoy it because, like I said, I like this kind of thing, and it's really me. And I think as the show progresses, you're really going to understand who I am. So it's very hard for me to introduce myself, but I want you to get to learn me as we go forward.
All right. Willem, the floor is yours. Good night, everybody. Pleasure to have you all on the show once again. My name is Willem James. Most people know me as Big Willie. So ask why. We're gonna move on from that. But a lot of people know me for doing a lot of different things. Some from Facebook videos, short skits, those type of things. Apart from that, I'm a hard worker, young entrepreneur, owner of my own small company. So just a few things under the belt to work with, but most of all, just a humble and God-fearing individual. I just love the conversations, and we try to bring out the best in what we as men could be. So that's the reason for this live here this evening. Friend zone. So
friend zone. All right. Well, let's get the conversation going. Now, first off, I'm just gonna throw it out there, guys. I have been friend zoned only once in my life. And the thing is, yeah, only once. Hold on. The thing is, I do not allow myself to make the same mistake twice. I made one mistake, and trust me, it was really terrible. And I decided I would never allow that to happen again. But I'm throwing out this question to you, to both of you guys. Anyone, you could answer. Whoever willing to answer is perfect. Have you ever been friend zoned? It's an obvious question. I think I know the answer to that. But can you just give me exactly as to how that played out? The floor is.
I used to live in a friend zone when I was younger.
Okay, explain that.
You know, growing up, I was this nice, friendly guy, friend to all. And so while you may like someone, they might just see you as a friend or there's some kind of benefit to your friendship. And so I was just there secretly crushing on people, but I was really putting myself in a friend zone based on how I used to act. So that's why I lived in a friend zone for many years, so I understand the ins and outs of the friend zone.
But Sam, was that beneficial for you as a man? I mean, you said that you had a crush. You had a lot of crush on these women. Was that beneficial to you?
Well, at the time when you're around somebody that you like, anytime around that person, and sometimes you're just secretly hoping that one day they're gonna open their eyes and consider you as someone that's more than just a friend. But in the meantime, it helped me to develop healthy friendships with females. So there was benefit to it, and I learned to live with the fact that not every female you talk to is a subject of interest, but really just another person that you can get to know.
Okay. Someone in the comments says that they need clarification on what the friend zone is. I thought the friend zone was a word that everybody would be familiar with, but it's interesting because maybe some people have no idea what the friend zone is. Willem, before you give us your experience, tell me what's your version of being of the friend zone?
Well, in my humble opinion, the friend zone is just simply when you have a different level of liking for a female or another individual, and they just don't see you in that light. They don't see you as being somebody that they would be closely knit to, especially to the point of intercourse or being in a biblical term, knowing you to that extent. So the friend zone definitely is when your liking for that individual, to me, outweighs what they see you as. So if you Sam, I'll see you as Sam, and I'll never see you as nothing else than Sam. That is friend zone 101.
Oh, friend zone. Okay. Well, quick question. Share your experience in being in a friend zone, and how did that play out? Was it beneficial for you? Was it a headache? What was the experience like?
Okay, well, you say share my experience in being in the friend zone. So my question is, which one of them experience you want me to share?
How many times have you been in the friend zone? I only had one, and I will share it. It's embarrassing, but I'm willing to share. This is an open conversation, but please, feel free, share.
All right. Well, I can't say I've been in the friend zone a lot of times, but oh God, how should I put this? Right. So I haven't been in a friend zone a lot of times, but I've been there before. Mainly because mainly
leave him alone.
mainly because of my behavior.
Right.
Uh, I like to joke and kicks and laugh and have fun and that type of thing. And most of the people, especially females that I am around, uh, they would see me as that person. So there were times when that side of me always was a side that played out. So it
Mm,
never moved past just me being a, jokey, jovial type of person and friend. Even though we go make we jokes and whatever the case may be, but unless I actually settle down and then come out and say, well, I really like you and interested in you and so forth, it wouldn't come up as that. However, I was able to from those short experiences and so forth understand when to be serious and when to joke.
mm,
Um, so I knew when to do that around somebody that I like versus just being able to actually come out and say that I like, that person, that particular individual. So from before, I talk about no, and I can do that friend zone thing. No, no, it's a different story altogether. But yeah, so I've been there before, and the experience definitely wasn't nice. Because it 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 does leave you kind of dotish now. It
what
does
do you mean
leave
by
you
that?
in a it,
Explain that.
as a man in the friend zone, you just tend to do a lot of things living in
Oh,
hope.
oh
And you
Lord.
never move past hope. You're still there on that part of the island and you never move past hope. Uh because you like so much. And the bad thing about it is if a woman do like you, she just do like you.
She
It
don't
don't
like
matter
it.
what you do. Yeah,
That's
you
right.
can walk on, you can eat hot coals for her. She just do like you. She do like you. So
Well, look,
it
um,
so
no finish.
that in itself, yeah, that friend zone real hard to be in because when you as a man like a woman, you like her real bad
That's
to the
true.
point where you bring in lunch. You don't even have lunch for yourself, but you bring in lunch for her, in hopes, just in hopes that you get out of that friend zone and she say, "What boy, I really like that food." You're cooking that food for yourself and you can't even cook for, you're cooking, you never cook food in your life, but you're cooking that food and you're bringing for, and trust me, that
You
friend
know?
zone does high, as a man, that friend zone does higher doing real dotishness. Trust me.
Oh, all right. Just to interject here. Um, and that's interesting. Yeah? All right. So let me just give my experience before I ask another question.
There we go.
Wow. Right. So somebody in the comment section, where this Miss I think Miss Walcott, I believe, she said, Colin, what? Wait, hold on. Let me just read it. Colin, you've been friend zone more than once. Don't lie. All right. Yeah. Let me be. Hold on. All I come to do with me personally. What's going on? All right. So let me just be. And this is being honest. I've only been friend zone once, but I've been in the friend zone for a long time. Okay. Let me just get that out.
that,
Okay, I've been
that, that would be real traumatic for you, bro.
real traumatic. All right. And that's what I'm telling you. I
There we
only
go.
would
There
make
we
this,
go.
there we go. I would only make the same mistake twice. So secondary school, young, I'm in form 4. There was this form 3 um, girl that I liked. Wouldn't call any names, and I hope she's not on the live. All right. I expressed that how I felt, and she said that she knew me from around. I was a bit not popular, but I was kind of known in school. Not realizing that because I was coming across as a nice guy, and we'll get into that question about the nice guy syndrome. The image that she had of me, she was a bit disappointed, and it's only after I get to realize, just through socialization with different women, I get to understand what happened. So she saw me as this rough around the edges kind of person, someone who is, the player, because maybe how I dressed or whatever. Now realize that I was a nice person. So in introducing myself, she realized that I was a nice person, and it was at that moment I was friend zoned. I didn't even know that. Now, imagine us being on the phone all after 12. We're having good conversations. I'm feeling good. I'm waking up with her on my mind. I'm going to school. We're eating lunch together. I'm helping her with her essays because I'm a good writer. Well, I'm an okay writer. So I would help her with her essays and the lunch. Yeah, I used to spend my money too. Because I actually thought we were in a relationship, not realizing that I was friends with her. Yeah, I actually thought we was in a relationship. It's just
That's
one
extreme friend zoning.
Hold on. So it's just one day. She called me and she was upset. So I tried to console her and I was like, "What's happened? What happened?" And she was like, she brought up this other guy's name. And I was like, "What?" And she was like, "He cheated on her." I was like, "What?" I was like, "How you mean someone?" I thought I was what? And oh my God, that one hit me harder. So in essence, she had a boyfriend. She friend zoned me. I was there to console her. Now I'm thinking, all right, so the guy cheated on you. You're going to realize he's a word I wouldn't use, and you're going to come right back to me because I was there from day one. Nothing so. So anyway, long story short, I spent a good couple months trying to convince her that I'm the one for her. And sadly, every time she got her heart broken by someone else, she'd been through about 4 different boyfriends. She always come back to me. I mended her. She gone back out, come back broken, and I mended her. And it went like that for months until I catch myself and I'm like, nah, boy, that's never gonna happen to me again. Because I ain't getting nothing.
I want to go back to a point that we made.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He said that in the friend zone, sometimes you know where you are. It's like he know where he is and he knows when to pull out. Right? A lot of the times the delusion is so great and the hope is so high because of sometimes mixed signals that a woman would give you, that each time you try to pull away, they would give you a glimmer of hope because sometimes you know what they're doing. Right? So that goes back to the question Aruna put in the chat, where sometimes the woman just don't like you and it's clear. When a man is in a friend zone, it is not clear because maybe some women don't realize that they're sending mixed signals and making you feel as though you're there. So, because remember, we see things differently, and men actually see kind gestures as a type of flirting. There's nothing in our brain that separates it, actually. It's the same part of the brain that sees flirting and kindness. So, it's only through experience that a man could really decipher between the two. So, I just wanted to clarify.
Okay. Interesting point. Because look, the psychology of women and the psychology of men is totally different. And I think that we don't spend enough time understanding the psychology of someone of another gender, right? But getting to my next question, the nice guy syndrome. Let's deal with that. Because for some reason, when you, like the example that I just gave, when you come across too nice too soon, you tend to get friend zoned. That does not make any sense to me. And why is it that women love men who comes across rugged and rough and brutal and I don't know? Weigh in on that, Willem.
Well, boy. All right. It's a combination of the two. Because I would bet my bottom dollar that if there is 10 women on the Facebook Live here tonight, the majority of them would definitely say that it's not that they like bad guys, but it boils down to a matter of him being a little bit too nice. Because when a guy comes across as being too nice, to some women kind of creepy, because it's like, if it's like, to an extent, they don't feel that level of security. To an extent, they don't feel that level of safety. So when a man says that he's too nice, is not just is not necessarily that he's just too much of a good person, but in a lot of women's mind who I've spoken to personally, it comes back down to a level of security, and like, if they end up in an altercation, would he stand up for me? Because a woman don't want a man that is a pushover. So if she realize that, you're a pushover, then it's like, okay, well, if somebody had to step to me and do me something, well, what are you there for? So it's being a nice guy. They love nice guys. They love nice guys. They love nice things, and so forth. But it's not just about that. You have to have a little level of ruggedness within you at the same time. So I think from that standpoint, some of our females would definitely tend to go for somebody who is a little bit, I would
rough
say,
around the edges.
Yeah, a little bit more rough around the edges.
Okay.
Not all the time, but some.
Okay. Okay. My next question, and it's actually a question that was sent in to me, so I would actually read it. Okay. It's strange. Have you guys ever heard of a name called Bobby Rio and Rob Judge, the creators of the Scrambler? Y'all ever came across that?
Yeah.
All right.
Nah, first time I've heard about it.
First time I heard about it. Well, Sam, you I see you smiling like you know exactly what I'm talking about, the Scrambler. You mind just explaining what the Scrambler is, or you want me to do it and you just elaborate?
Well, I could give a layman's explanation of it. It's like looking at the movie Hitch, where Will Smith was teaching guys how to get women and understanding women, and doing the things that would cause women to notice you and to keep thinking about you, and sending these subtle hints that would have a lingering effect on them. So it's more like the psychology behind the chase.
All right, and let me just add to what you're saying. Now, for the viewing audience here, the Scrambler is an actual curriculum. Yeah, research it, Google it. It's a curriculum where men who either was friend zoned or about to be friend zoned could take that course. You pay for it, you take the course, and it basically breaks down what you need to do in order to not end up in a friend zone, or to get out if you end up in a friend zone. It's really interesting. And one of the things that is amazing to me is a lot of this thing is very successful. Very, very successful. We have a lot of stars promoting the Scrambler. And that made me realize, but a lot of people, a lot of men struggling when it comes to being able to attract the type of woman that they want. So I'll get into my next question. Being in the friend zone, or being friend zoned by someone that you care for, that you have strong feelings for, and they don't reciprocate that same feeling, it kind of makes you feel less of yourself. And it destroys your self-esteem. So in a situation like that, what advice do you guys have for men who end up in a situation like that? Sam, you wanna? Yeah, Sam, take that one.
Well, it calls for an assessment of the situation, first of all. And some of the ladies in the chat says, if a woman is not interested, she's just not interested.
Okay.
And sometimes it doesn't matter what you do, you just can't get through. However, if you believe that there's some kind of hope and you want to proceed, or you believe that you're afraid enough, I would say that men first have to evaluate what it is that a woman is looking for. Because as Willem mentioned earlier, some women like the rugged type or not too nice type. And so you have to understand where you fall in the matrix.
Okay.
And I've learned one of the simplest things, and it goes with your job as well and in relationships or pursuing one, is always try to present your best self. And some people, they don't take care of their image. Your image is you. This is your card. And you always want to present yourself in a way that the world, it's easy on the eyes, and whether you smell good and all these different things. So a man has to really know what he's doing, because ladies are way more sophisticated now when it comes to understanding the psyche of men. And so we have to understand what it is that they're looking for. And a lot of times we tend to want to just be the old me and not listen to what the woman is really saying.
Okay.
So a big part of it is understanding how she responds to the things that you do. And you might be having a conversation, because remember, you're in a friend zone. You looking at her and she's probably talking with other guys, or you're seeing her with another guy, or maybe she has a boyfriend. And you looking at the boyfriend and trying to understand what is it about him, because you have to study a competition as well. What is it about this guy that is attracting her to him that I don't possess? Why not losing yourself? So it's a plethora of things that men have to consider. But at the end of the day, it's understanding, I want to say, your audience, but your target.
Your target. So,
Yeah.
so what you're trying to say is that we have to actually do a science project on how to get women. Wow, that's a lot.
Well, when you're dealing with human beings, it's psychology. Even when you're at work, you may have people with different temperaments, and you would need to understand how to deal with people. And it's the same thing with relationships and friendships. You would know what to do around me and what not to do around me, because you understand me as a person. And being in a friend zone gives you the opportunity to learn the person and become friends. Because a lot of times relationships start and you're not really friends.
Right. But
so now you're in a very unique position. So use it to your advantage.
Okay. Sorry to cut you, but a point I just want to piggyback on. So there is this belief that if I did, and I'm just using myself because that's the only example that I have. I believe that if I went along with the program of being the friend, that eventually she's going to see me for who I am. So do you think that romantic love, well, I believe romantic love can come out from the friend zone stage, but how prevalent is that? And is it something that men should be holding on to? That idea, that illusion, that idea that possibly she will turn around and reciprocate the same feelings that, the man has for.
In my era, it wasn't necessarily labeled a friend zone per se, but women wanted you to chase them for longer. And if you give up too early, then it means that you were not really interested to begin with. And that is where guys got trapped, because they couldn't tell the difference between them being in a friend zone, or if the woman is actually testing them and looking to see how committed they are to getting them.
Right.
And that's where the confusion lies.
Willem, I want to bring you in here. This is strange, yeah? And I wish, and trust me, this conversation we're going to have to continue, because I would like to get a female on this platform to give her side of the story. But what I want to know is, if women were to know that this particular man literally did a curriculum in order to get her, do you think that her feelings towards you would change? Would you think that she would feel manipulated? I don't know. Weighing on that.
Yes and no, but it all boils down to the level of understanding that this female possesses. It's not just finding out that you take a course in order to get her or something. There's a lot of different things and pieces that women think and put together. They don't just look at a situation like this straight ahead and just say, okay, all right, that is it, and that done. That don't happen with a lot of women. Women tend to analyze all the surrounding factors that lead up to the point of you going there to receive this training, to then come and use this training on her to get her to like you. So it's not just you going and take the course, it's a lot of the things that's being done in and between you taking the course. So she has to understand that. Now, if a woman understands that you to yourself were a very socially awkward person and you're not the type of person that would openly come out and say, babes, you're like
I love you.
you're like a pot of oil down.
Oh gosh,
It's
you let me
just
hit him. You ever hit him with that?
yeah,
I hope that
no,
doesn't.
no,
I
no.
hope
You're mad.
that
You're
doesn't.
mad. That walking. You're mad. We are walking in this day and age. You go and tell a girl she's like a pot of oil down. So why you trying to say I'm green and I'm ugly? Yeah. So yeah. That. So the thing about it is without straight. The thing about
Yeah.
it is if she knows that you're a socially awkward person
Yeah.
and she understands the reason why you go ahead to do that, then to an extent she will understand. She would understand the reason why you had to get that level of experience or that level of knowledge in order to grab her attention, because in the first place, you probably couldn't have done it, and she probably wouldn't have noticed it if you didn't do these particular things. However, though, your motive behind it have a very big part to play as to whether or not she would never speak to you for the rest of your life, or if she will understand why it is you do it. Now, if as a man you take the course because you genuinely want to have a relationship with this woman and you want to move forward in life, and we talking about marriage down the line, that is the reason you go to get the little experience so you could do these different things. Boom. That is a whole different ball game altogether. But you see, if you do that just to get a piece, Papa, and she find out that is all you wanted, you die.
You die.
Yeah.
That's what the hot guys been doing all the time,
And they still
manipulating
get.
women to get them.
And they still
And
get.
the only difference is whether you get professional help or not.
Well, you see, all right. No, all right. You don't understand this. You're different type of men in the world, right? It have men that absolutely nothing going on for them. They
Oh
don't.
gosh, that one hard one.
They ain't take it. No one tell you nothing going on for them.
Nothing going
They
on.
not take it. But it has a lot of factors behind that. They're not taking care of themselves.
Right.
They don't take the time to smell right. They don't really take time to dress and make themselves look presentable. They're always rugged. They always think they're not taking the time to make themselves attractive to the female eye. You understand? So at the end of the day, them go just think, your teeth chip, you go just leave the teeth start to rot. No, half of your mouth disappear. You don't go in and check yourself. So obviously, women would definitely not want to go for that. If that last option before she did, then probably yeah. But other than that, you ain't gonna be on the top of the list. You definitely would not be on the top of the list. Then you have
hold on.
then you have Uncle Smooth. Right? Uncle Smooth is the man now that don't have to work hard at all. Them girls and them just come.
Uncle Smooth?
You understand? Yeah, right, Uncle Smooth.
Okay.
Uncle Smooth, Uncle Smooth don't have to. I talking about the man. He look nice, right high, a 13 pack on the below his chest. You understand? All these different things going on, and he have it. He works. He's financially, able to take care of himself. He takes regular time to take care of himself, to look good, to smell good. Uh, he talks nice, these kind of thing, and them did. I the sweet man, right? Ladies would automatically just they just gone towards that man. And then now you have men, the regular Joe that had to try. That man had to try. He had to try. And usually that man is the man that out of all of them, that man would definitely get friend zone a lot more because he now has to try to make himself presentable in order to get this woman's attention. The man who had nothing going on for him, he can't even be business. He can't even business. So he out of the picture. Mr. Smoothie not to worry too much because he will come regardless. But the average man that had to put in a little bit more effort, you understand? He might just have to take a little shave up on a thing, but he not much to do. He does try, but then most of the time when that man try, friend zone.
Wow. Okay, that was a mouthful, Mr. Wait, what's the name of it, Mr. Smooth? What? Simply what? Mr. Smooth. Well, I'm lying, but where's come up with his names? But what?
Uncle Smooth. Uncle Smooth.
Uncle Smooth. Okay, well, and I think I know what you're talking about. So, in actuality, there is actually not a scientific name to define the different categories of men, but there is a term that is used to categorize men. So there is the alpha male. So I guess Uncle Smooth is the alpha male. Hey, Willem?
Uncle Smooth go be an alpha male.
All right, so Uncle Smooth is the alpha male. So the alpha male is basically the guy who has practically everything going for him. And especially has an attitude to go with it. Mind you, alpha male don't necessarily have to be successful. Okay, so don't equate being an alpha male with being successful, right? But they're the ones who are assertive. They make decisions, and they're full of themselves. Alpha male, one. The second one is a beta. So the beta male, and a lot of beta males are very successful, mind you, because those would have been the ones who would have been the geeks and the nerds in school, and then after they get their job and they start to become successful, then they switch their makeup, right? And then you have the sigma. The sigma male is a mixture of both, right? So he will be successful, he will be assertive, but his goal is not to chase women. His goal is to chase his career and his ambitions. So somebody in the chat asked me, who am I? I don't know. You be the judge. Miss Sylvester, you be the judge. Shin say, men with money barely get friend zoned. Yeah, why is that? It's crazy, yeah?
Because this is what women there for, a lot of them.
A lot of them? So,
well, it's a generalized comment, so I'm making a generalized statement.
Sorry about that, I get cut off there.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Willem, so you heard. Let me give over to just 3 categories, and then I'll proceed to ask the next question. So the alpha male.
I heard alpha.
Right. You heard the beta male. Right. The beta. You want me to just explain it quickly?
Define.
All right. So the beta male is the ones who would have been the geeks in school, but they were able to transform themselves after attaining some level of success. So they might be the IT tech people, the people who are inventive, whatever. They are the sigma males because they most focus on, achieving their goals, but they're socially awkward. So, they don't have that balance.
Right.
The alpha male is not socially awkward. The beta male is. But then the next category is a sigma male. The sigma male is a mixture of both. But the sigma he tends to be a more, you can't really put him in a category because he tends to chase his goals rather than chase women, right? And the women actually chase sigma males more now in 2021 than alpha and beta. Well, that's just based on studies. But I'm getting to my question. If I I'm asking this question. Why is it that it is so convenient for women to want a man when he decides to do the things that will, all right, let me track back that question. I'll give an example. I think it's better I give an example. So
I'll hit the answer one time. Look.
With me, right? If I change my personality, when I change my personality, I get the type of responses that I want from women. But genuinely, that is not me. So I'm literally being somebody else just to get what I want. Do you agree with that? Is it something that men should be doing? Is it deceiving? Is it? I don't know.
Well. That one. Let me talk with it. As much as men have come to a realization that sometimes when you come straight forward and you say, hey, my name is Adam, my friends just call me Botti, and I really like you, I want to take you out, and all this kind of thing, and them you just get a litany of excuses before you actually get the response that you want. So men now have started devising their tactics and started moving a little bit different, because they understand now, if I come and say, hey, my name is so and so, my friend just call me Botti, I like you, I want to take you out. In this day and age, that ain't happening for you, brother. If you realize that women now are a lot more assertive than they used to be. Women back then, women back in the day were a little bit more calm, cool, collective. They definitely wouldn't have been as outgoing as a lot of women these days. A lot of women these days. A woman would tell you straight out, here what's going on. If that is what you want, come out and say that is what you want, XYZ, and whatever the case may be. But then still, when you come out and say, okay, that is what I want, they go say you're fast and you're out of place. You understand? So what men started doing now is not directly coming out and say, hey, I want sex, or I want a relationship. They start beating the thing a little bit different. They go surround it with a little group outing. Hey, well, me and the boys at who and who, ting, we going out, ting. Bring your friends and them too now. But really and truly, that fan beating her on the side day. So when the men just started changing their tactics in how they do things, and their approach is a lot different. In this day and age, trust me, it really shitty, because it leaves it. A lot of men now resort to the inbox phase. So they go on a woman's profile, they like her, hey, 6 weeks after, hey, sup. You understand? So a lot of men are definitely, even if they don't even know it, they've been friend zoned from a social media aspect, and then they've been friend zoned personally in real life, because they don't know how to go about doing these things. So go back to what we originally was saying now. Men have started changing the way that they approach women. And because of the way that they approach women now, it could be either to the best. Some men still use a pickup line or two and, make things, a little fun and exciting for the woman to understand, well, hey, I like you, paying attention to you. But the ideology of you being able to come now and just come with a straight face and just say, that is me, I want you, it just doesn't work as it used to before. Yeah, a lot of dynamics behind it now.
Okay, Sam, and I want to segue into another question. What are some of the mistakes that you have made in previous relationships that you either learn from, you regret, you wish if you could have gone back in time, you would have changed? Well, yeah. Give me some, yeah, what are some of the mistakes that you have made? And do you regret them? Have you learned from them? Would you go back and change them?
Well, I don't want to go back and change it because
Nah, just say.
I have a good wife.
Oh, okay.
But
careful now, preacher. Careful.
Careful.
But I would say not understanding what I wanted out of life at that time. And I think that I settled in relationships where either of us wanted just physical contact, and it got strained after that. Because, like I said, there was a lot of pleasantries involved those days, and it wasn't the direct approach where a man would go and say, I want this from you, I want that from you. So you had to be a bit more tactful and diplomatic, and there was a lot of wooing and whatnot. And so because I was always old school.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think waste
Okay.
a lot of time in relationships to begin with. And I'm not being myself throughout the relationship too, because in the beginning, you try so hard to please this person and you end up losing yourself and your identity. And so what is left is someone who's in a box according to what the other person's requirements are, and you can't be yourself. For instance, I used to play basketball and sports every Saturday, religiously. And as soon as I would get interested in a female, people won't see me anymore, or I would stop going and play. I used to play a lot of video games. I used to watch sports on TV. And I actually, apart from my job, being in relationships in the past actually pulled me away from these things, because women wanted you to spend time with them. And it was a problem when you were watching sports in those days, playing video games, playing with your partners. And while I would say they were a bit selfish, because if I were to do it again, I would tell them, if you want to be around me, you need to get involved in the things that I like as well. So if I play video games, you have to come and sit down. If I play basketball or whatever sports it is, you have to come and watch me. You have to be a part of the things that I like as well, instead of me pulling away from it. And so I went from being an avid game player to I play 0 video games now. And so I kind of was the men my age who still get to do these things. I didn't even know what's going on in basketball. And that's because of relationships. And I believe that it caused me to lose a big part of myself.
Right.
And I find it hard to get back into the groove. So that is, to me, one of the biggest mistakes that I have made. And a lot of people are still making in the relationships, because they want to fit into the life of the other person and not necessarily sell their own lives to that person as well.
So do you think that comes with age? Like, for instance, I have noticed that women, well, they tend to, and I may get some flack for that. I hope not. Guys, don't cancel me. But I think women they mature late when, all right, so not mature late. I wouldn't say that. I think that they know what they want later on in life. I think men, from my experience, like I know what I wanted earlier. And for most men that I know, they know what they want earlier. But in a case where a woman knows what she wants late in life, around after 35 onwards, they tend to get conservative, and then they tend to look for the guy to settle down with. That's the experience that I have seen. I'm not sure if I'm correct. I'm not sure if you all have observed that as well. In them getting conservative. Yeah.
Well, yes. I mean, I wouldn't say conservative, but they are more focused. Especially if they by that time they have a child, their priorities will change and whatnot. Because a lot of women in their 30s, they still have a free and um, wild side, I should say, and they still fun loving and do a lot of the things that they like. It's just that their focus has changed a bit. But to say that it's a part of maturity that you would not want to do certain things, I believe it's just you. And for some would say, okay, you're not playing sports again because you're matured. I don't think that is your hobby. I don't think it has anything to do with maturity, especially that's how I see it. It's something to take your mind off things. There are people older than me who still play video games, and they've taken it to another level where they start collecting games and very expensive games as well. And it's a hobby, and that's what takes their mind. Because life is hard, and I wouldn't tell anybody to stop doing certain things, especially if it doesn't harm you. So to give it up because you want to appear to be mature or focused in your life. But a lot of times, if you would speak to a female, one year you would be saying, man, no, I think you should focus on this and that, and they would give you one answer. And then in 6 months to a year or even 2 years, you would hear them saying the same things that you've been telling them. Because I mean, I'm 43, and there are a lot of people who are in their 20s and 30s would come and say, hey Sam, I want to discuss something with you. And you realize that sometimes you give them advice, but they have to learn. Because it can be a cookie cutter approach, because what works for me wouldn't necessarily work for you. And they have to just know that they have to find themselves. So everything is understanding yourself and finding yourself. Because in any relationship, whether it be marriage or otherwise, it's two persons coexisting in a space. They say two shall become one, that's in purpose, but you're not the same person. It's still two individuals, and I think that people should try the best. While there is compromise, it's a very important part of it, of life, because there are things that you would not want to do anymore because you would want to protect your job, for instance, or your image. And some things will become more important to you, especially if the stakes are very high. But at the end of the day, losing the individuality, one day it's like a ticking time bomb, and it destroy your relationship, because you see these two persons just started fighting each other, and there's resentment because they believe that they gave up themselves, and look at what this person turned around and do to me.
Okay. Interesting. What? Yeah, Willem.
Let me deal with something. Say, and I'm going into the comment section, Lilith Walcott said, Lilith Walcott, nice to have you on the live. She said, you're having a business conversation and boom. How does your husband and children feel about that? The question they ask to find out if you're single, such a turnoff. I had to touch on this because being friend zone does come with them kind of dotish question and everything. And we as men, we just cause it. Because if you want to find out if a woman's single, ask her if she's single. You understand? Because trust me, them kind of questions that we just pose in the midst of a serious conversation does really tick a lot of people off. And then they might hit you left one time. Sometimes they might like you initially, but sometimes they might like you initially, but then they might hit you the left only as soon as you come with something stupid. So jumping into the friend zone have a ticklish part to it that you have to understand. So, for instance, right? There was this fun thing I used to do. Before. So what I used to do is like we having a like if we having a conversation or whatever the case may be. And this was just playful. I would just if we having a conversation, I'd just be like, tell me something now. Uh how long you had a problem now? And then they would be like, what problem? What happened? And I'd be like, that man you been seeing there for, for such a while, your boyfriend. And then the response would either be, I don't have a boyfriend, or they would be like, hey, what stupid is he saying? So that lets me know that all right, you have a boyfriend or something like that. So I know whether to stay, whether to keep steering a particular direction, or whether to just take a left and just get out at one time. Right? So there are ways and means for you to find out certain things from women that doesn't have to be too corny and out of place. You understand?
Right.
But you as a man, you have to develop that, because if you're a socially awkward person, then you'll get level friend zone. Friend zone, you and friend zone go live in house together for a long time. And you gonna come back on that, because when you here get a left, that is it. Eh?
That is
They
it.
ain't they ain't seen you like nothing else, and you're just a ugly duck that they on the side there, and you just ain't getting no play again. Eh? But
Willem.
you have to go ahead.
No, Willem. I'm just saying. Somebody say out of order. Ezra, Sylvester.
No. That was back in the day, man. I thought that was kicks and thing. She could say that. That
Right.
is fine. That is
That's
fine.
fine.
But
All right.
that is just the reality. That is just the reality of it. But I could tell you from experience that when I asked a question before, my boy hit the nail on the head, because it's real Western man getting home and stress. You understand? So
Mm,
it's not to say. I mean, those things that was before. I don't do that crap. But when you hit a nail on the head, you hit a nail on the head, because sometimes she looking to lead a man, and you come with that question, and then she wonder, but wait now, it's like God sent he, boy, because how you know that man stressing me out, so I doesn't even show it off like that. So how he know that man stressing me out? So sometimes I really the case, not all the time though, but you know, everybody have their different ways and means of getting to know people. But the in respects of the friend zone,
mm,
one of the best ways for you not to get friend zone is to always be yourself.
okay.
Because and that is when you go know where to kind of place your cards.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you try to be somebody that you're not, then you will always end up in a situation whereby you have to keep up this particular persona to get a particular individual.
Okay.
If you know you're not a party man, and the girl that you really like, she's a party goer, and you hitting every party just so that girl would see you. Well, when it is you reach with that, you end up in a problem, because supposedly now she starts to like you, because you portray yourself to be this big fat man. Every time you date a fat, you have a bottle of Henny on the ends. You have, you know, you're living the big life. And she see that, but that is what attract her. Then remember, Paddy, you have to continue living a life. Because if you just decide, well, all right, you're just taking a sudden right, and you don't want to go no party and thing again, well, obviously you should go have a problem. And then sometimes you might be in the relationship and still get friend zone in the relationship. So and that is one of the hardest things to get, because you cannot approach a female and not be yourself, and then expect that when you start to change she wouldn't see it. women
Okay.
women notice these different things. If you portray yourself to be this very affectionate person in the initial stage, and you know he's not really an affectionate person, it's just you have a motive behind why it is you're being so affectionate, then bet your bottom dollar that when the affection stops, she's going to notice a difference. And then she's going to start to question, okay, well, in the initial stage, you used to do this, you used to do that. So how come now you're not doing these particular things? So women know their guards are up even more, because we then have to realize that apart from all these different things, women have their external issues that they have to deal with themselves. Because you see, the pivotal years of a woman's life, from her teenage years coming up to her young adulthood, is a lot of the times when their lives are defined by certain aspects and certain things. So we don't know what women have been through from those teenagers, especially if you've never met her before. So approaching a woman in an outer timing way would definitely give you a friend zone quick, and you go stay there for a long period of time. And sometimes they might not even be a friend zone. They might just not want to speak to you again. So you have to know how you approach certain situations. You have to know how you deal with women, and it's good to just talk about these things and before you jump right into the meat of the matter. So always be yourself. Go ahead, Colin.
Yeah, sorry to cut you. There's someone in the chat. A couple messages coming in. It's kind of hard to keep track. So we have here. All right. So Miss Walcott, she asked, what happens when a man overpromise and underdeliver? All right. Then she friend zone you. What you say?
Well, it's like with a job. If you overpromise and underdeliver, you get fired.
You get fired. All right. I hope that answers your question. Okay, Miss Walcott. What time you're blonde day, boy? There was another question. There was one particular question. Somebody asked, what type of male am I? I like to think of myself as a Sigma. Yeah, and really and truly, there is no category. I don't like to put myself in a category. But yeah, so for the person who asked that question earlier, I hope that that response suffice. I want to move on to a topic. I think Shane had brought up.
But hold on, before you go, I want to say something, Colin.
Yeah, what's that?
I want us to be honest, because I watch a lot of Facebook posts when the day comes, and women want a man to just come and ask them if we have a man, and then walk away. And that is it. Because they themselves know for a fact. I've seen a post where a woman say, shoot your shot, and I can decide if I have a man or not. You understand? And so some women might like you and they're waiting for you to say something. And if you just hear, oh, I have a man, and then you just go on their way, I've seen them spoken out against that as well. They want a man at least to keep within a distance. If he's still interested, right? It's not just to walk away, but if he's still interested, he should at least present himself now and again, not to say you're harassing a woman, but in a friendly manner, or, so you could get the notice. Because sometimes they could be going through something with a man too, and they're about to leave this man or whatever, and you just come at the right time. You have a man, technically she does, but they break it up, or they go through some kind of rough patch. So I think it disqualify yourself to maybe just walk away, because none of them, a lot of these women these days, they want you to at least show some level of interest. It's not just about walking away.
Okay. So Sam, Shina, she's asking, have you ever friend zoned a woman? You put that up on your status, and you had me to think, yeah, boy, I actually friend zone a couple of them. So I'm not a victim. I'm the perpetrator as well.
If I ever friend zone a woman?
Yeah. Have you ever friend zoned a woman?
Well, yeah. I mean,
and what was the reason? Why? What was the reason?
Well, either one, in a relationship. Number two, you're just not interested. It's the same way, and as humans, we want to believe that women have this different way of doing things that we don't understand, but at the end of the day, we're still human. And if you're not interested in somebody, instead of taking advantage of them, because it's easy. Let's say a woman is throwing herself at you all the time. It's easy for a man to use her and not really have any interest in her. So it's best you put the woman in the friend zone and hope that she understands that, instead of just letting her down and say, look, I want you, because sometimes you don't wanna hurt people. And sometimes you might think that you're letting them down easy, and the woman, goes suicidal. I don't know. So sometimes they just happen to get friend zone because you don't know how to tell them, listen, I don't want a relationship or whatnot. So everything has its place, but you're not going to abuse it to make people feel that they have a chance. That is where the problem is. Making people feel that they have a chance.
So basically misleading them, putting them on.
Misleading them.
Giving them false hope. Okay. I just wanted to clarify something that I said earlier. The experiences where I found out what, in my opinion, that women, know what they want later in life is from my experience only. I'm not speaking on everybody. Okay, this is just my experience. Right. Just to clarify that. Okay. I want to get into another topic. Is only, I think it was a couple days ago, I found out, well, I heard from a woman who said to me that men and women have two different definitions when it comes to dating, right? Women, why is it, and my question was, why is it that it's so easy for a woman to be able to date multiple men? And mind you, from the definition of what was said to me was that dating doesn't mean sexual intercourse, okay? So let me just define that, okay? Right, so they're dating just to go out to see if they have any chemistry going, but they could do that with multiple men. But why is it that if men do the same thing, it's not considered the same? I don't know if y'all ever experienced that.
Well, I think you gotta be upfront.
Okay, so if a man says that, okay, I am, hold on. If a man says to a woman, okay, look, I am dating 5 other women. We're not sexually involved, but just to let you know, then that's okay. That's what you're saying, Sam? Am I understanding you correctly?
No, I'm just saying that the common line men uses is either A, I'm a woman and we could just be friends, or B, I'm really looking for a relationship right now, I just chilling. You understand? So while some men would say that, and women would believe that they have the power to change this position in a man's life, and they would not want to do things that would cause him to change his mind, and because everybody has within them this, well, sometimes this delusion of grandeur that they can do these things to people by just charming them, or a woman might give him sex, whatever it is. But the disappointing part of it is that after you've expelled all this energy in trying to convince the person, and this person still say, man, I tell you, I don't want nothing, then comes the bitterness. Oh, well, you make me do X, Y, Z, but I tell you in the beginning. So while communication in the beginning is very important, right? When somebody communicates certain things to us, we have to understand and be mature enough to accept what it is. And if you want to tag along and bring your own heart, it's up to you. But once we communicate these things, that I'm not looking for a relationship, or maybe it's just sex or something casual, or just talking, but letting you know that I have other friends and whatnot, then it's up to her to make her mind up.
Okay.
But just to comment on that, the thing is here in Grenada especially. Somebody also said it in the comments. Dating outside of Grenada and dating in Grenada is two totally different things. So when you hear people date outside of Grenada, it does not mean that you're exclusive to that person. If a man tell you he dating Sheila, outside is because he dating Sheila, he dating Stephanie, he dating Wanda, he dating who and who. Is a multiplicity of them because he dated. But in Grenada, if you say you dating Sheila and she friends and all of them know that you're there with Sheila. And the problem is the communication barrier initially in the meet is what has caused the problem. Because if I come out and I tell you, well, here what's going on, let's date. You have to break down what a dating means, because it means that I'm getting to know you. The problem that arises now is that when you include erotic acts in the course of that dating, women start to take it differently immediately. Because from the minute time a woman gives herself to you, any upstanding woman, from the minute time a woman gives herself to you as a man, that connection that is made with that woman and that man is very different than when it is you go out on a date and then when all you go home, all you go all you separate ways. When all you finish the date, all you go home. Once you hear intimacy is involved in any form of relationship, that changes the dynamics one time, eh? But especially here in Grenada, if you say you're dating somebody, here they don't understand it to mean, okay, he's seeing her, he's getting to know her, and there's a possibility that they may get into a relationship afterwards. From the minute time you say you're dating in Grenada, automatically everybody just start to assume that you and she having sex, and that is the plain talk bad manners. That's what everybody starts to assume. But the thing is now, if we go back to a state whereby you could go out with somebody and it not lead to that aspect, then you could then weigh your options a little bit differently, because you know that you're going out with multiple females, but you're not having sexual intercourse with them. That's totally different. But if you are having sexual intercourse with different women, obviously you're going to have a problem, because when you say, no, all right, I'm dating her, or whatever the case may be, for women, it's totally different. Because it's easier for a woman to go out with multiple men, weighing she options, and not have sex with any one of them. But for a man, that's very hard. And that is the sad truth about it. It's very hard, because if you have a connection with a woman, and let's say, for instance, she starts to come on to you, it's easier for a man to give in and say, well, yeah, and he having sex that night itself. But for a woman, for a woman, it's different. A woman could say, it's easier for a woman to say, you know what, I will just hold out. You understand? But she's seeing other people. For men, it's very hard for us to do that, and that is just the truth about it.
All right. Okay.
Check this comment here from Ross the Boss, right? He said, I didn't know about dating until I came to Canada. In Grenada, once you talk to someone 2 or 3 times, you immediately pick up the boyfriend-girlfriend status. The next thing you know, you're hearing, you better not hurt my friend, because you're in a relationship. You understand? And I don't think people really date in Grenada. You hang out, and sometimes you might hang out with multiple people in different times, and the one that you get to like or you think to, you just start slacking off the rest. So it's not really dating per se, but you're just going out with people, because some people would meet a friend. It's like, hey, what are you doing later? I know, I feel like going junction. Link me there. That's not a date, but that can happen a couple times, and then all of a sudden you know you're doing something with this person. And what dating really supposed to do is getting to know somebody, and this is where you decide whether you want to be in a relationship with this person or not. That is what dating is for. But we just jump into relationships. And I'm going to tell you straight up, people date for different reasons. Some people going out with a man because some women going out with men because they don't have transportation, and this man is very convenient and he can bring her wherever she wants to go. So she end up being with a man everywhere you see the man is here.
I show somebody in the group here get us already.
Well, yeah, some women know that some men like fine dining and restaurant, and they like that about that man. See, they go in with a man because the food passes, or because when he's out, he had a tip in your pocket.
Free lunch, essentially.
Once you're around that man, he had a tip in your pocket a day, and then you just end up in a relationship. Okay. So sometimes it's for convenience, and sometimes it just happens.
Okay. I see someone in the chat put dating doesn't exclude intimacy.
It doesn't exclude it, but it doesn't necessarily have to include it.
Okay. Okay.
But okay, so let's okay. If you reached a point where it is you're having sex with a person,
Mm.
then by all means, to save yourself the headache, don't consider it dating, because
Okay.
it don't make sense to consider any dating, because a date is you getting to know the person, not intimately, but understanding how that person minds tick, what sets them off, and all these different things. That is why you just don't go on one date. It's a series. You don't just go out with somebody once and then you just figure everything out about them. From the minute time you add intimacy to the picture, the dynamics of that changes. It changes. All right.
It's
We
William.
go.
It seems
We
that
going back.
Shelley
Let me go back.
disagrees with you. But Shelley
Huh?
was the one that asked the question. Shelley is the one that asked the question in the comment, and it doesn't seem like she agreed with you. She said having
No,
sex with someone.
I
Hold
understand.
on,
I
hold
do.
on, hold on. Let me read the comment. Hold on. She says, having sex with someone isn't a relationship.
Correct.
I don't-
I agree with that.
I
I have no
understand that.
official position on that.
I am not saying that it is a relationship. But what I'm saying is that it changes the dynamics of what a date is originally intended to be. You understand? Because if you're trying to get to know somebody, all right. Let, let me give an example. If you go to somebody for the first 2-3 times, right? That doesn't that you still get to know a lot about this particular person. Let's say on the second or the third date, boom, all they start to have intimacy, sex start coming into the picture, right? A lot of things is then interrupted because of sex, because the mindset now, and especially of the man, the mindset now is no longer getting to know so much about the person, but it changes from getting to know you to an aspect of most of the times when it is you meet after that is because if the sex was good, you want to do it again. So the getting to know each other part, the process is dramatically slowed down, right? Because the science behind having sex is simple. When a woman has sex with a man, the same chemical that's induced in the brain that comes out when a woman makes her child is the same chemical that's induced during sexual intercourse. So when a man and a woman has sex, a bond is created between her and that man, right? So that's why it's a lot more difficult, because in a man the process is a little different. But in a woman, that bond is created between her and that man. So whether or not, let's say for instance, or let's just start a date, intimacy comes in, and it, that starts to cloud the judgment and the mindset of women more than men. So when you introduce sex into the dating scene very early, it's very difficult now for you to get out of that phase to say, well, you know what, I want to get to know you even more, because you haven't really learned anything about the person. You don't really know their dislikes all that well. You don't know if it is you kick too much sand on she foot on the beach. If she go catch a fit and slap you or some kind of thing like that. You don't know the person to that great extent. So yes, I understand what she's saying. But then from the minute time you introduce sex on the dating scene, then what's the point in calling it a date, because you don't really know the person yet?
Okay. Well,
Well,
Sam, you okay?
in the comments, people are saying that having sex doesn't necessarily stop you from getting to know the person, and that definition of
No,
dating is antiquated. Now, I'm seeing where the confusion lies because
that's what I'm saying. And let me
the
clarify what I
term,
said.
Hold on, hold
Hold on.
on,
And no,
hold on, hold on, William.
let me clarify what I said. I never said that it stops it. I said it slows down the process dramatically. You understand?
well,
So
Camilo said that sometimes having sex with a person is part of the criteria or evaluation that he would do to extend the dating. So if the sex is not good, then we're not going to continue because it doesn't make sense you go in that direction and you know that you're going to be faced with years of boring or terrible sex. So putting it into today's landscape, I understand where he and others
Right.
are
So then,
coming from.
the question that would come from that they know is, after you've now reached to that point, and it don't make sense, could it really be considered as, if you would like, could it really be considered that you were really dating this person because you still don't know nothing about the person? If the sex
Well,
wasn't good and then that stops.
well, my cousin Batiste, he said what I was about to say, right? But you and Rashali, is different because I see dating, right, and courting as two different things. You see, courtship,
Exactly.
right, in the old sense of the word, is when you've been dating and you've decided to take it a step further and you say you want to go to engagement and probably, or not even that, but you start, you want to move in together or whatever it is, right? To take your relationship to another level. Sometimes dating doesn't necessarily have to be long, right? But dating is just an introduction to each other because, to be honest, when people go on dates, they're not themselves. And you get to know the person when the person is in their element. And so you would find some people who make their decisions like, okay, first we have to move in together. They would have different criteria, you know, or we have to do X, Y, Z. Like Camilo said, some people might say we have to have sex earlier because I don't want to waste my time, right? So some people would use that very early up in the dating process. But in speaking to my friends, I know guys who have not walked the straight and narrow for a long time, and what they realize, this is just feedback from friends. What they realize is that when they don't have sex very early up, the relationship kind is more meaningful, or you get to understand that you don't want to be in this relationship. That is if sex is not a criteria, right? So sometimes, like when I was younger, this guy said, "Man, I love this girl," and da 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 da. I say, "All right, well, I think y'all need to have sex then." He's like, "Why say that?" No, no, no. I said, "No." And they did have sex, and he realized he didn't love her anymore. He just had to get it out of the system, so to speak.
Because when he come to his senses, that's what
Because that's
happened.
all he really wanted. But because she wasn't really giving him what she didn't have to get because he had others. When he dedicated his time now and then they had sex, he's like, nah, boy. And then he started finding faults in her.
Exactly.
Right? And what happens is that when we prolong this process, when certain things are out of the way now, right? Then people start, nah, she this or she that, and da 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 da, because the novelty has worn off, and you realize that you don't want to be with this person, and it's only sex that you wanted. That is why people have to be honest with each other up front. If it's actually sex, because a lot of people are dating to have sex, and nothing more. Or I should say, going out with nothing more. But they don't want to come across as this kind of person, so they just go through the motions.
Let me just interject. Let me interject here. Now, Willem, based in the comment section, it has been said that you have an outdated view of dating and relationships. Someone said, I think, quite in the BC before the common era.
Somebody says I'm Muslim.
Yeah, somebody says. My question. Hold on. My question is, are you willing to reconsider your position based on what Sam said?
Yeah. All right. Okay. It's people might say I have an outdated view, but I from what I knew, it worked. Because no, everybody's so quick to jump in bed that they don't even understand the level of energy that they transfer in and so forth when it is you're going to sleep with somebody. I mean, there are times when yeah, it hits you and you want to do it, you do it and you get over with. I am saying that, but I understand that it worked back then. You would find that a lot of relationships, that when you take your time and you get to know somebody, um, and when you get to take your time and you get to know somebody, the relationship is a lot more meaningful because you have learned to cherish that person outside of the fact that you could stick your tip inside of her, that female, right? Outside of the fact that you could give this man your body, you've learned to cherish this man outside of the fact that he could have sex good or whatever the case may be. So that's the reason why I said it works. Because understandably, no, everybody have their choices to make. So if you decide, well, all right, I go and give the man the thing on the first date because you just want to make sure that the sex good, and if the sex good, you go stay, then by all means, then do you. But
Okay.
I know that a lot of strong relationships that have lasted 25, 30, 40 years is because they started on a basis of actually getting to know each other before involving sex.
Okay. Mind you, I don't have an official position on this. Okay. I'm just asking the question based on
Now, my
hold
my
on though.
official my position on it is whatever float your boat in it. If you realize, all right, you want to give her the thing or you want to give the man the thing, then that is only a choice. That is only a choice. That don't have nothing to do. That don't have nothing to do with me. But if you don't work out, then you wanna save yourself a body. That is all I say. You wanna save yourself a
Oh,
body count, right?
oh, the
So
body count. That's another
yeah, it is.
conversation with body count, huh?
Yeah, we gonna
We'll
deal with that later. We gonna deal with
we'll have
that
to deal
later.
with that later. But I want to just
Go
touch a
on.
comment here. Julian in the comment section, he's saying, so if you were dating a woman, then you guys become exclusive. Then she told you she had sex with someone while you guys were in the dating stage. How would that make you feel, guys? And would it change how you view the woman? I'm throwing it out to anyone willing to. Sam, tackle that.
Well, maturity would thank her for being upfront. She didn't have to tell you that. And you have to be mature about it and say, okay, well, I appreciate you telling me that. You're free to feel bad if you want. That is a normal human reaction, and nobody should take that away from you. You could even say, you could express how you feel as well. But at the end of the day, I think it's a good thing if somebody comes and says yes, because you are not exclusive. But if the person made you feel as though you're the only person they're talking to during that time and there's no one else in the picture, and then they turn around and have sex with a random person, I don't know what it is, then it may raise some questions. That's if it went down that road. But at the end of the day, you should be glad that that person is honest enough to come and say that. Because like I said, they didn't have to.
Okay. All right. I see Shelly is saying that you can be dating multiple people and have sex with each one of them. When you decide to get serious with someone, none of that matters. I guess that I have no official
Yeah,
position on that.
that's if the other person is comfortable with that. If you're not comfortable, it has to me. It has to be. This has to be communicated first,
Okay.
because there's a cultural difference based on where you live, right? This might be something that's accepted. People, would have evolved, where relationships are concerned. But when you're living in a place where the views are much more conservative, then that is what changes. And so living and being in Grenada is not working well for a lot of people. And they probably need to go to a bigger country where they can understand that it is not just you that think this way, but there are others like you. But in places like Grenada, where everybody knows you and knows your business and see you coming and you're going, then you would be attacked more. And so people would want to save face, and they would walk the conservative road just to be safe. but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're being yourself. So yes, Shelly, I agree with what you're saying, but it can work in Grenada. I don't think you can work in Grenada easily.
So it's culture. It's a different culture.
I think it's cultural. Yeah,
it's cultural. So let's discuss the culture a bit, because someone said earlier in a comment about polygamy, all right, and that we are all polygamous, whether we would like to admit it or not. I want to just chime in on that a little bit. Yes, we are polygamous and we pretend to be monogamous, but trust me, a lot of us practice polygamy in secret. That's a fact. But just bringing it back to the conversation is when it relates to culture, we have to understand that we are descendants of African people. And a lot of countries in Africa, polygamy or polygamous relationships are accepted. That's culture. We have not adopted, but another culture has been forced upon us through the transatlantic slave trade. So that's where you get the monogamous relationship. But essentially, we're still keeping the culture alive in secret by being polygamous while openly practicing monogamy, right?
By openly having multiple sexual partners.
Secretly, yeah, openly having multiple sexual partners secretly.
Nah, nothing in secret these days, but everything open right now.
Everything open.
Everything in open right now.
Everybody files, you know.
That's it. You can't hide.
Oh man! All right, so
for some people, polygamy does not, monogamy does not come naturally. For a lot of people, there's some people who can do it, but there's a wide cross section of our own population, and only because of where we are, and it's going to be frowned upon, and because of our religious influence, that is how things are. And I always make the point that if you can't tell people who to love, why can't you tell them how many to love? You know, because at the end of the day, if it comes down to that person's decision, then why should people get involved in that? You know, a government should not be legislating how much people you do it. It's just crazy.
Just crazy.
But at the end of the day, like I said, religion has shaped a large part of our culture. And so people are being themselves in the closet.
Okay. Batiste is saying, I'm getting a religious undertone from your understanding of dating. I assume it's talking about Willem, right? You would clarify that to the comment section. I just want to, I want to ask a question, right? I'm going to throw it out. I'm going to ask a question. So is it fair to say that if men could practice polygamy by having 5 wives, that women, it should also be fair for women? And I'm talking about being in the same relationship.
It's for everybody, but it's just that when you're going into it, right, people just need to have the opportunity to say that this is what they want.
Right.
No, of course, sometimes people are not, you're not the same person you are 5 years ago. And so sometimes you may get a better understanding of something later on. It doesn't mean that you're a hypocrite or whatnot, but you have new information. And so to me, that is why people they shouldn't be rushing into things or trying to commit too early in life. And it goes back to the point I made before, that you need to understand yourself. Because in Grenada, in our culture, they say, why don't you settle down and get married? And I always say, those are 2 different things altogether. You can settle down and not get married, and you can get married and not settle down. And marriage is not a stage in life. Marriage is a decision. And not everybody who is married should be married. And a lot of people are forced into marriage because of family and religion and other external forces. And a lot of people are not where they're comfortable because they can't explore other possibilities based on where they live.
I see Walcott here is asking, guys, answer this. Why some men want to be in a relationship with the main woman, but having intercourse with multiple women, but have a problem when the main woman decides to do the same. Willem, hit that one for me.
First of all, we don't build like woman. Man can take on like how woman can take on.
Is that
That
true?
is, of course, a man can take on. But boy, when a woman come and tell you she get a horn, your chest is what you're different.
By getting
You just start to,
ready?
you just start to wheeze. You just start to wheeze. You just can't sleep. You doesn't think and think. Women does deal with it different. Yeah, it does hurt them, but then women does end up picking up themselves a lot easier than men. But if a woman that a man really love, and died of what you would consider a main woman or whatever the case may be, then he is either he dead or something, because that horn go kill him. That horn go kill him, and you go kill him dead. Because all right,
men are territorial.
Exactly. So as much as a man go outside there and you want to play King Jaffe Jofa and go and hunt all them gazelle out in the pasture. He go have his field there, whatever the case may be. But as soon as he come home and he realize he have another lion in his territory, that pain in his chest starting early. You don't matter what kind of bush tea you drink, that pain will always be in his chest, because the main one who you go do anything for is the one that turn around and give him the horn. It does sting different for a man. But I'm not saying that any type of horning is good. It's never a good thing. I'm not a supporter of horning. I've had my fair shares of being horn, and I've had my fair shares of giving horn. And on both sides is not a pretty thing.
I feel hot.
So
why just say that, boy? You just admit
I had my fair shares of being horn, and I had my fair shares of giving horn. I don't come in and play as why some kind of thing on top. Yeah, we trying to be better, but I had my days when it is,
Right, that's right.
Yeah, I had my days when the thing take me. I go inside and look for people, and I had my times when it is the woman who I really, really want to be with, and really saying, all right, well, I go do this, I go do that, and whatever the case may be. I get a horn and you hurt me. Yeah, I remember you at that time. I remember you at that time when it is I did, boy, and though I didn't even get a horn yet. I didn't even get a horn yet, but I lie down inside the room and look outside. And as I look outside now, I see a van pull up, boy. And well, when I say I look outside, I was, thinking, because she was living fairly close by. So when I look down the road, when I look down the road now, and I realize a van pull up, Jed, then people just come to go to our party, because we didn't on terms, things ain't going good. So she decides she going out with her friends, and then but two man pull up in the van now to pick up. Boy, I didn't even get a horn yet. I tell you, I grabbed the pillow and I started to ball. I tell you, I started to scream and ball out. You understand? Because I don't tell myself, boy, watch, if I get a horn tonight, I ain't gonna survive. But that was it. And it wasn't that case whereby it wasn't that case that I couldn't give horn or whatever the case may be. But knowing that there is somebody that you really check for, that horn does hit different.
Okay. I want to I want to answer a question that was posed in the chat by Susan Clark. I know who that person is. But because you didn't put your real name, I wouldn't say who it is. All right, but that person asked why men does question whether we perform oral sex in the horn. Oh gosh, I don't know.
Because let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. And this happened to me. This happened to me personally. All right. I get horn at night. All right. And the same night, I get a horn. Me and the particular person, we had a conversation. And we talk, you understand? Because things didn't going well, but we still like each other. I get a horn the night. I didn't even know. She didn't tell me that she gave me the horn that particular night because I didn't get a horn on that particular night. We talk. We say, well, let me start things over and let me try and see if we could work out things and so forth and so fifth and so six. And I kiss her before I go home. That was the same night I get a horn.
Oh.
So for a man now, they just ask that question because they want to know now whether or not there's a phobia. It's like a phobia because picture me now. I thinking after I find out I get a horn, I thinking, but wait now, but I kiss she that same night. So I wonder if you understand what going on with me there. So I one night to myself, oh, job. I say to myself, wait now. So you mean to say if it is she do that, you really mean that? Because she didn't brush her teeth before. Wow, boy. That hurt my chest, bro. That hurt my chest.
Boy, that deep.
That hurt my chest. That hurt my chest.
Sam, I don't know. What you weighing on that?
Sam can weigh in on that. Sam no experience that kind of hot in his life yet.
No, I never get that kind of. I won't even ask that nonsense. I don't need to know.
I didn't ask, but when I find out that I get a horn,
no,
and I put two and two together, and I say, if it is she.
No, I don't like to punish myself in some kind of ways. But I will tell you this from the other point of view. No, what I got to learn early is that some men do things to spite men. No, the reason why a man would want a woman to do him that, and he knows that she has a boyfriend or a husband or whatever it is for some kind of dominance. And it's not really projected towards the woman and necessarily for his own pleasure. But he's showing the man without telling him that this is what I could make a woman do to me. Because you're nothing. It's a certain dominance. And that is the problem I have with it because a lot of women don't understand what some men are doing.
True.
And that's where they get tired. They don't understand. So they feel it's just, or let's say the man do something, so they go with the next man to spite you. And the kind of things the man can do. The man can watch your man now in a kind of way and even tell men, watch you. Boy, even though I do with the woman last night, and I make you do that, and I make you do that. So you gotta be careful because you have a lot of devious men around. I ain't supposed to be saying much of that because I'm a man. Not that I've never done these kind of things. But I'm just saying, there's what a lot of men like to do. And something as simple as, I don't know if it was a problem with me. If I walk into town with my girlfriend and a man back in the days want to stop and have some kind of long conversation and hold she hand and think, by the time she look up, I day up going up by the hospital already. You know? The last time she see me, my farm and garden. But I not stop it because a lot of times men want to do that to disrespect you. And you have to know that you have to tell them men, hey, I will talk to you later. Because it's disrespect. And because you know what these men are trying to do, they're trying to disrespect the man. They have no pure intentions. Now, of course, if you meet your genuine friend, you would introduce first, this is my boyfriend or my friend Sam or whatever it is first. You understand? That's if there's some kind of thing in respect in a relationship. But if you just stand up there and the man just be out in the cold and in the wilderness, and this other guy getting a high off of it, I can't support that. Right? So that is why when certain things are done, men feel a type of way. But going back, I see Camilo Alexis had said regarding the men and the women and why men would see horn in a bigger light. Because for years, you hear man no good, and women expect men to cheat. So if the women been saying that all the time, as though they're the gold standard relationships are concerned, when you do it, that'll surprise us. Because I ain't looking for it because they've been preaching all the time that it's only men that ain't good. So what Camilla was saying is that I think that hypocrisy is in it. When it comes to standards and expectations for men and women, for example, for most of us, if your son has 2 girlfriends, we don't view it in the same way with our daughters having 2 men. If our male friends have been with 100 women, we view different of female having 100 men. Even women have that innate hypocrisy. They call their sons future heartbreakers, but never say that their daughter's going to get plenty men. So in our spirits, promiscuity is different. And I agree with what he's saying, that we have set up, and the women who raised us set us up to be like that too, you know. Because if you're going to complain that the husband's not around and the man not around, who raising us? You're raising us to have, he can have them girls and things. You understand? So don't be surprised when your daughter grow up and she find these men out there, because this is what women are telling their sons as well. So if you want to change the narrative, women, if you have a son, then you need to teach the man what you want in your life. Because a lot of times I see women teaching their sons to do the same thing that the men who break their hearts do, and they dressing the sons the same way too. It's as if it's a projection. And they don't see what I'm doing. And I notice a lot of things like that. But sometimes you're causing your own hurt, and you're further feeding the fire, because you're not addressing it with your own son, but you're making him into the man that you don't want for yourself.
That's an interesting point, and it actually ties into a research that was done, which says that in single-parent households where the mother is the head of the household, she tends to cling to her daughters closer than the sons. So in essence, she would overly love the son, and on the discipline, well, provide, the discipline is not on par with the love when it comes to, you understand what I'm saying, to the man, and the opposite with the woman. So what essentially happens is that the men grow up and they're slack. They could do what they want. They could be whatever, come back whatever time they want. They're not given responsibilities around the house. The opposite happened to women. And essentially what that does is that the man now ventures out and is going to look for a woman to treat him the way his mother treated him.
I always tell people, men are looking for their mothers.
Right, but that is not just, Sam, trust me, this is a research that was done. So this is not just you making things up. It's a fact. So that's why in single parent households, I would really want mothers to understand that they're literally raising their sons to be the kind of person that they cannot see themselves with. So that's a good point, Sam.
I see you actually said, so wait, women are now responsible for changing the narrative. Men created this on their own with their behavior, but somebody raised the men. And you can't expect to raise somebody like a savage and then expect them to be a gentleman. We are not the parents when we were growing up. So it's how you were socialized. And a lot of times we are socialized in a particular way, and then we are expected to act differently when we become adults. It doesn't happen that way, especially if it's not taught in schools. A lot of the things that we learn about relationships in life, we learn it from our friends. We don't have mothers sitting down with our children, or boys saying, this is how you should treat women, and making sure that your son do this for you and whatnot. You're not seeing that. So where are men supposed to learn it from? They believe that once you start to grow a beard, you just get mature, and everything that you learn growing up, you just have to throw it to one side, and then you just become this totally different person. People don't change like that. And it takes a lot of learning and unlearning to change it. So what I'm saying is, when you have the opportunity to shape a mind, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that you are wholly and solely responsible. But when you have the opportunity to shape a mind, which is your son, then do what you expect from a man, right? Because the men not around, sometimes, I wouldn't say why the men are wrong sometimes in a bad relationship, whatever. I wouldn't blame the woman for that. But when we become adults, I agree we have to take responsibility for our actions. But don't expect to raise somebody for 18 years doing one thing, and in the 19th year, he's supposed to be somebody different. It can't and won't happen, and it wouldn't happen instantaneously. And he has to have the right stimulus around him to create that change from within. But it wouldn't happen just like that.
Willem, I want to bring you in here. What's your take on that?
It's a true thing because I've actually gone down into some other research where it comes to single parent home, especially where it concerns the mothers raising their sons. Um, Boy children tend to want to pattern themselves after a father figure. When that father figure isn't there, then the only role model that they have to fall back on is their mother. But I must commend a lot of the single mothers because they have fought through a lot of imaginable odds just to be able to raise their sons. And raising a boy child is no easy thing. We have two, myself and my wife, and trust me, it does be challenging, especially dealing with the boys, because boys tend to be a lot more defiant than little girls. They want to have their own way. They want to rule. They want to talk. You're talking to them to do certain things, and they don't want to hear. They learn a lot different than girls. So for a mother to be able to teach her son a lot of these valuable lessons, it's very difficult for her to even be able to do so in the first place without a father figure in the home. So I really do hope and trust that a lot of women who have sons who are on this platform understand that the time that they take to instill certain lessons in the minds of their sons is ones that actually they will be willing to actually live with, if it is they are at a point whereby they have a male figure that they're in a relationship with. Because you don't want to kill chivalry, and then when you don't see him in your child, then you want to say, I didn't raise you to be that way. Because if you don't raise your child to be a gentleman, if you don't raise your child to be a particular way, then what he sees, what you go pattern yourself after. And a lot of the time, boys go out and they look for male figures that they see are popular. They see that are doing this, their name always calling and all these different things. They tend to look to different idols, I would say, in order to get some level of male standing in their life, if I would put it that way. So when they see these things and them on the outside, they know, all right, I can't get it from mom because mommy is a female when they reach that level of understanding. So when they go out and they look for it, sometimes, most of the times, they pattern themselves after the rappers and the dancehall artists and the who, because that is what the world and social media promotes men to be doing and what they promote men to be about. Most of the times they don't promote a gentleman opening a door for his woman or nothing like that. What they promote is a man stand up on the stage, jamming a woman hard and all these different things. So when boys grow up to see that, the first thing they go in and do is want to do the same thing. They want to be behind a woman jamming hard too and doing all these different things. So women who have single parents, women that have sons, have to understand that, okay, if you're fine with that level of lifestyle, then that is you. But if your son doesn't turn out to be the gentleman that you would have expected, is because he probably didn't learn it at home, and he just probably looked to some other form of role model in order to pattern himself after. But women do a fabulous job, so I commend them on that. But it's always good to have a male figure in the home, just
This
the
is why
same
we
as
Mhm.
yeah. It's
we
always
need to
good to have
change
a
the
male figure in the
narrative.
home.
a lot of women asking, they saying they want to be independent women and they don't need a man, right? And then they're still surprised that they don't get the desired results, because I'm seeing it a lot now. I don't need a man, but they're forgetting that they have a young, impressionable mind. And it's something that is growing in popularity these days, where a woman, they believe that because they're earning a certain amount of money, they no longer need a man. And it's not every woman, right? But it's a lot of them. And so it makes you think if the men were there just for financial support or whatnot. But you're seeing it, you know, where they have this, I'm a career woman, I don't have time for a relationship. And some women even approach men and say, I don't want a man, I just want you to give me a child. And so there's no relationship, they have sex, they get a child, and the woman walks away and she tries to shape this thing. But Rashali, I'm just talking about things that I see, and based on the places I would go, you know, it would change based on where you go in the world, or even in Grenada, right? Because sometimes you go on the block and see a little boy wind up on a big woman when music played and everybody laughing, right? So it's just these things I'm talking about. I'm not saying that the women are not trying. I know I was raised in a single parent home, and it was just my mom. And of course, I mean, I had a few male influences in my life. I see my uncle from time to time and whatnot. I would see him, how he treats his family and whatnot. But I did not have a permanent male figure in my life at all. You know, my father left when I was like 3, and the next time I saw him, I was in my 30s. And it's just my mom. And she didn't put me sit down and talk to me, but I guess I was lucky, you know, to turn out and, you know, at least to be part good man, I should say. I'm not, you know, I'm not perfect, but I'm not doing a lot of things that I'm seeing around, you know, and it's a mother that raised me, because she had expectations and she communicated these expectations, but she tried her best.
Okay. Wow. The comment section took us in another direction, man. But I appreciate that really.
Before you go on,
hold on. I just want to say something. I appreciate the comments. Even though we started off with the topic, the friend zone topic, we have branched out into another aspect, and we appreciate that. So yeah, Willem, you were saying?
I was just going to comment and say, ultimately, is choice, because remember, when a child reaches a certain age, he or she would start making their own choices, and based on the choices that they make, they have the willpower, the ability to choose the type of life that they want to live. Because there are examples of persons who come from broken homes, and there are men that grew up to be upstanding men. There are men that grew up to be real gentlemen, even though they didn't have a father figure in their life. So it's choices at the end of the day, because all mankind have the ability to choose to do whatever it is they want to do. Nobody can make you do nothing that you don't want to do. It's ultimately your choice. But there could be influences that would help push you to a particular decision. So if growing up I always saw okay, all the men around me have multiple women and never faithful to one particular woman, never taking care of their children and all these different things. Ultimately, when I go older, it's up to me to say whether or not I want to be the same type of person. But because I've seen it so much in a lot of persons' mindset, it's like that become the new norm. So they don't see it as something being wrong. They don't see it as something being a little bit offset with you not being there for your child as a man. It's because a lot of the times the influences that they've had around kind of push the decision process to say, you know what, I really don't care about this. But when a man decides to make a choice, he has to be held accountable for the choice that he makes. Your environment and all these different things, and them at the end of the day wouldn't stand in court when it is they start asking, you know, where it is the support for the child, why it is you're not taking care of your child. That wouldn't have any merit, because you have to make the decision to whether you want to be in the life of your child or not as a man. And if you don't want to be there and you decide to live your life over you want to be, well, God have mercy on your soul. But if it is you just do see yourself in a particular way and you decide to make that choice, then ultimately the decisions and the consequences I would face after is ultimately on the individual. So mothers could try and do their best. And if there's children want to go left, they will go left. And they could try and do their best. And if they decide to stay on the right track and do what it is they have to do, the choice is theirs at the end of the day. So I'm a firm believer in choices. So
okay, all right, right, interesting. On that topic, I would like to just put in my 2 cents. And that's a topic that we have to flesh out even deeper. The dysfunctionalities, the dysfunctional behaviors that we normalize between men and women, right? Willem, you mentioned, or I think someone in the comment section mentioned that women who use their child, you know, as not as bait, but you know, she's using the child against the father, and we see a lot of that dynamic playing out.
Bargaining chip.
Right, as a bargaining chip. Now, I don't have children, all right, so I cannot speak with authority on that matter, but I would put it out to you guys, because you gentlemen here have children. So what does that do to a man? All right. And if you were in that position, and obviously you're probably not in that position, but I'm just saying, if you were in that position, what would be your mentality and how would that affect you? And Sam, let Sam there. Let Sam chime in here.
Well,
if you were in that position,
luckily for me, I am not.
Yes, I know that.
And my response is going to have a particular bias, because I've had the opportunity to spend all my children's lives with them. And I've showered them, changed, fed, I know what size clothes they wear, everything. And so I have this bond that I cannot cast aside. So if something were to happen in my relationship, I cannot see myself walking away from my children and not putting up a vicious fight, because they are a part of me. There are men who were never really in the house with these children, and they never really had a bond per se. And every resistance that they got from women, they just let go and allow the women to have their way. And so, because they don't see things the way I do, it's easier for them to give up in this fight. Some of them take the easy way out and say, okay, well, maybe when the child grow older, they're gonna get into the child's lives and whatnot. So there are many different ways in which people approach it. Now, if a woman were, I mean, there's always the court. And a lot of people believe, a lot of men believe that the court is not on their side. And they believe it because they've been told that, and they never investigated it. They never took the time. And the only time you would see a man and a woman in a court is when she's bringing him up for child support. A lot of the times is not for shared custody. You won't see men wanting to normalize or formalize joint custody for the children, and having something done properly so that there's documentation on how to guide the process. Now, of course, if you can have a good relationship with the mother of your children and it doesn't come to that, then that's always best. That you can have a very civilized relationship with her and you can always talk, you share the children and have them this weekend and these kind of things. Now, too many times I've heard where a woman is saying, if I can't be with the man, and men do it too, men do it a lot too. If I can't be with this person, then I'm not looking after the child. The man could say that. And the woman can say, if I can't be with you, you can't see the child. Or if you're not doing this, you can't see the child. And so they muscle their way, using the poor child who's in the middle and suffering for their own selfish gain. And when people are about to make children, they don't understand the responsibility that is before them. And they don't project to the point where if I'm no longer with this person, how am I going to deal with it? There's no conversation around these things at all. And I said it in the beginning, nobody want to raise my children. If I'm abusive, you have all right to take my children away from me. But I am not. All right? I'm not an abusive father. I'm a very loving father, and I'm very much involved in my children's lives. Now, for that to be taken away from me, it would not go down without a fight. And I would use all of my resources to make sure that it doesn't happen. And a lot of men that I speak to, they're not willing to put up that fight. No, I have there's some men that I know, but it's not really in Grenada, where the legal representation that they have does not want them to fight. They're always given bad advice and say just settle for this and the men end up losing a lot. But I think that if we men really are interested in a relationship with our children, we are going to find a way. And I know I would find a way.
Okay. All right. Well said, well articulated, Sam. And guys, I know we've strayed on the topic a bit, but I think it's, we allow the comments and we try to address comments in the comment section, and that would just sway the conversation, and we appreciate that. Guys, just in closing, because we would probably need to wrap up. We need to save some conversations for later. I want to just get back to closing that topic of the friend zone and just offering a bit of advice to men, because we did promise that we would give that, and I don't want to close the conversation without doing that. All right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So very quickly, Willem, what advice would you give to a young man looking to have a strong, meaningful relationship with a particular woman? What advice do you have for him, and what steps should he take, in your opinion?
Like I mentioned before, be yourself. Be yourself. Present yourself in a manner that you would definitely appease this particular female. Talk to her with respect. Ask what you have to ask. Be straightforward. And just make sure that whatever it is you're doing is not because your ultimate motive is wholly and solely because you want to have sex with this particular person. Because a lot of the times men are in the friend zone because they come across too aggressive where it concerns sex. So I trust and hope that guys know how to tone it down. You could be thirsty as a dog, but drink some water and, calm yourself, and just make sure that you approach women in a respectable manner, because I don't think any woman openly deserves for a man to just bombard her with, I want to be with you, I want to be with you, I want to be with you. But you have to also, as a young man, prepare yourself to be able to handle a relationship. Because a lot of the times we want to be in a relationship, but we ourselves are very damaged. Sometimes we haven't even been in a proper relationship in our entire lives, but the pursuit of wanting to be with somebody, you have to do some introspection within yourselves. You have to internalize what problems you have and try to deal with it before you try to let somebody jump on your ship and then your ship have a lot of holes. All they go sink. So I firmly believe that men should take time to prepare themselves, not to be good boyfriends, but to be good husbands. Make sure that your finances are in check. Make sure that you're being a gentleman. Make sure that you're being the type of man that you eventually would want your daughter, if you have one, or your mom or your sister would want to be with. Somebody that would treat the woman right, somebody that would make sure that she is taken care of, and not just present yourself but have nothing to bring to the table. Because as much as you would look at a woman and want her to be a particular somebody to bring things to the table and support you as a man, you have to be able as a man to be able to support that woman just the same, and be able to be there for her, to keep her, to uplift her when she's down, and all these different things. So for young men, just take the time. I would say, in a nutshell, prepare yourself to be a good husband before you try to jump, into a relationship. And if you get friend zone, please, on a lighter side of things, please, if you get friend zone, please don't live in hope. Move out from hope. Leave it where it is. If you realize it's not going anywhere, go your way and find something else to do with your life, because the amount of food that you will bring, a lot of money you're spending real value to be cooking that food, and you're moving from hope at all. So that is it for me.
All right. Well, Sam, just very quickly, I just wanted to read over, and this is what the experts are saying when it comes to getting, how to get out of the friend zone. So the first one is, don't appear too needy. All right, that's the first one. The second one is to distance yourself whenever you think that you're in the friend zone. All right. So don't try to answer your phone too quick, make up an excuse. No, I'm just saying, this is what is being said. Okay, so
no. I watch it. Shen conversation say Willem, don't encourage men to just hand on husband qualities. They will be used. You see, you know what?
Don't get on that. Don't start another conversation. We're wrapping up now. We're wrapping up.
Oh God.
The next one is get back on the dating scene. So essentially, that's the advice that you provided. Forget about it. Move on. All right. The next one is try to push their jealous button. I don't know if I agree with that one, because if you try to make them jealous, would that work? I don't know. The next one is behave as if you're really busy. Next one, if you're a friend zone, just be the friend. Next one said respect their choices. And the last one is understanding that they don't owe you anything. Sam, do you agree? Just quickly, do you agree?
I agree with that one. Nobody owes you anything.
I agree with most of the points. If the person genuinely just wants to be your friend, then be that friend. If the person is sending you mixed signals as though you have a chance, then the rest apply, where you distance yourself and whatnot, because you may know what end you want. But at the end of the day, it's just respecting the other person's choice, because you could be giving up a very good friendship because you want to be with the person. Because after you've been with a person, it's very hard to be friends afterwards.
Say it like it is, Sam.
Okay.
Say it like it is, Sam. You're giving up a good friendship because you want nanny. Say it as it is, Sam. Say it as it is.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, I appreciate y'all coming here and having this conversation. I know we bounce around on different topics, but because we're just really trying to accommodate people in the chat, and we love to engage with you. We appreciate for viewers out there, and those who took the time to put their comments and their questions in. We appreciate that. As a few good men, this is our first live, and we will progress We will work out the kinks, and the show will get more interesting because, as I said, this is not the show. This is just the lead up to the premiere of A Few Good Men. So I really would like to thank you guys. And the next show that I'll be working on is having an uncomfortable conversation with a feminist. Right? Yeah. So I'm trying to book someone for that. So guys, I think it's going to be an interesting conversation to bring, get a feminine energy into these types of conversations. What do you guys think?
Well, somebody's saying that they want all men panelists, but
they want to, but we have to see balance. And
but it wouldn't always, Janae, it wouldn't always be possible.
It wouldn't always be possible.
We need to have balanced as well.
Yes, we want to be balanced. Yes, we really want to be balanced as well. So, guys, I thank you so much. We need to wrap up. We're going on over almost 2 hours now. Great conversation. Being a friend zone. I hope that single guys out there at least learn something from our conversation. And if you are in the friend zone and you do not like being in the friend zone, then you need to get out. Simple as that. If you like it and it's beneficial to you, and it is not just this one-way stream where the female is the one benefiting from that relationship, there's no reciprocal, vibes going on, then you know what it is. So, guys, in closing, last words. Sam, Willem.
Well, I enjoyed the show. Thanks for the comments. They're very engaging, and we are happy that we were able to reach and talk to the people about things that we all think about. And please remember to send in your questions and scenarios, and we'll be happy to form it as a part of the show. And we love you. And until next time, be good.
Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure being here tonight. I trust and hope that my old-fashioned views of being in the friend zone and dating and so forth. I trust and hope that we bring back a little chivalry, bring back a little bit of love in the game and everything. But my most important thing, if you're being a friend, be a very good friend. And if you know, if it is that being a friend is basically you trying your best to win this person's attention, this person's heart, and you're doing extra thing, party save that money. Build a house, you understand? Plant some mango tree under the house, sit down and think about all the things that you could have done. You understand? But yeah, if you're in the friend zone and it's not beneficial, ride out soldier.
All right. Wonderful. Well, guys, pleasant good night. Pleasant good night to our viewers. We appreciate it. Tune in next Friday. The next show, we will be posting it on social media, so you have to stay tuned to our Facebook page to be able to see what next we'll be talking about. I know a lot of people, they're liking the emojis, guys. They're liking the emojis. So this show is meant to be for young, hip. I want it to be youthful and hip and still entertaining, but also educational as well. And so we thank you, our viewers, tonight. Really thank you, guys. All right, guys. Good night.
Good night.
Blessings, man. All right.
Peace.